In 1612, on a small island off the coast of Japan, the most important fight in the country's history was about to happen. Thousands of people came to watch. The challenger, Sasaki Kojiro, was thought to be the best swordsman alive. He arrived on time, ready, blade at his side. His opponent never came. 1 hour passed, then 2. Kojiro walked back and forth on the beach, getting angrier every minute. When Miyamoto Musashi finally showed up, looking messy, like he had just woken up on a boat, Kojiro attacked immediately, blinded by rage. The fight lasted only a few seconds. Musashi won. Most people focus on how fast Musashi swung his sword, but his real weapon was used hours before the fight even started. He made his opponent wait. He let the excitement and anger build up inside Kojiro until it became too much to control. And then Kojiro destroyed himself. This video is about what Musashi understood of the human brain and what scientists have now proven about the one force that controls almost every decision we make. It is called dopamine. Here is something most people get wrong about dopamine. People think dopamine is the happy chemical. They think it flows through your brain when something good happens, like when you eat your favorite food or win a game. That is only partly true. And knowing only half the truth can actually make your life harder. Dopamine does not mainly respond to good things happening. It responds to the feeling that something good is about to happen. It is the chemical of wanting, not getting. Scientists who study the brain have found that dopamine shoots up the most not when a reward arrives, but in the moments just before it arrives. The wanting is the drug. Getting the thing is almost not the point. Think about it this way. You are about to open a birthday present. That excited, buzzing feeling right before you tear off the paper, that is dopamine. The moment after you open it, when you see what is inside, the feeling is already starting to fade. This is why kids sometimes play with the cardboard box more than the toy inside. The box was still a mystery. The toy is no longer a surprise. Now think about your phone. Every time you pick it up, there is a tiny chance something exciting is waiting. A message, a funny video, a notification. Your brain does not know for sure. So it keeps firing dopamine to make you check again and again and again. The phone is not giving you pleasure exactly. It is giving you the feeling of maybe. And maybe is incredibly hard to stop chasing. This is the trap. When your brain is constantly chasing maybe, it gets used to that feeling. Normal life starts to feel boring. Sitting quietly feels impossible. Reading a book feels slow. Talking to someone feels less interesting than scrolling. Not because those things are actually boring, but because your brain has been trained to expect something louder, faster, and more exciting every few seconds. Musashi lived 400 years before scientists could explain any of this, but he figured it out through his own kind of experiment. Musashi lived in a way that most people today would find very strange. When comfortable beds were available, he slept on the floor. When good food was offered, he chose plain food. He avoided luxury on purpose, not because he was punishing himself, but because he had noticed something important. When you give yourself everything you want the moment you want it, something inside you gets weaker. The ability to sit with discomfort. The ability to wait. The ability to feel satisfied with simple things. These things quietly disappear. But when you choose to go without something, even for a short time, your brain resets. Small things start to feel good again. A glass of cold water after being thirsty. The feeling of finishing a hard task. The quiet of early morning before anyone else is awake. These things feel genuinely satisfying, but only if your brain has not been flooded with bigger stimulation all day. You can actually test this yourself. If you go one full day without your phone, the first few hours feel uncomfortable. But by the end of the day, you might notice that a conversation feels more interesting. Food tastes better. Boredom turns into something quieter and less painful. This is not magic. It is simply your brain coming back to its natural setting after the noise has been turned down. Musashi called this self-discipline. Scientists today call it dopamine regulation. But the result is the same either way. A mind that can feel genuinely good from real things, rather than needing constant noise to feel anything at all. You do not need to sleep on floors or give up everything you enjoy. You just need small windows of less stimulation each day. One morning hour without a phone. A meal eaten without a screen. An evening where you do something slow. A walk, drawing, reading, instead of jumping straight to entertainment. These are not big sacrifices. But done regularly, they slowly shift how your brain responds to the world. There is one simple practice that gets right to the heart of all of this. It is so simple that most people laugh when they hear it. It is just this. When you want something, wait before you get it. Not forever. Not even for very long. Just wait. This is exactly what Musashi did on that beach. He made Kojiro wait, and the waiting destroyed Kojiro's focus. Musashi understood that the space between wanting something and getting it is where the real battle takes place. Not outside, between two swords. Inside, between impulse and choice. Scientists have done a lot of research on this. Children who can wait a few minutes before eating a marshmallow, rather than eating it immediately, tend to do better in school, have better relationships, and report being happier later in life. Not because waiting is magic, but because the ability to wait is a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained. When you delay a reward, even by a few minutes, something interesting happens in your brain. The part of your brain responsible for good judgment and long-term thinking gets activated and grows stronger. The habit of grabbing everything immediately, which most of us have been practicing for years, starts to weaken. Slowly, you take back control of your own choices. The way to train this is simple and starts very small. When you feel the urge to check your phone, wait 5 minutes first. When you want a snack, set a timer for 10 minutes and sit with the feeling of wanting without immediately acting on it. When you finish a task and want to immediately switch to something fun, pause for 2 or 3 minutes. Sit. Do nothing. Let the wanting exist without feeding it right away. This feels uncomfortable. That discomfort is not a problem. That discomfort is the practice. There is one more thing Musashi wrote about that ties everything together. He talked about the difference between two ways of seeing. One way of seeing gets caught on the surface of things. The flashy thing, the loud thing, the most obvious thing in front of you. The other way of seeing looks at the whole picture calmly and clearly. A brain that has been trained on constant dopamine stimulation can only do the first kind of seeing. It jumps from thing to thing. It cannot settle. It cannot go deep. Every new stimulus pulls it away before it has finished with the last one. A brain that has been trained through small acts of patience and delay can do the second kind. It can hold attention on one thing long enough to actually understand it. This is how real learning happens. This is how real skill is built. This is how problems that seem impossible become solvable, not through cleverness, but through the ability to stay with something long enough to see it clearly. This is why everything discussed in this video matters. Not just for productivity or success, though those things do tend to follow. It matters because the ability to direct your own attention, to choose what your mind focuses on, is one of the most valuable things a person can have. And right now, for most people, that ability is being slowly taken away, not by force, but by 1,000 small habits of immediate gratification repeated every single day. The good news is that it can be taken back. The same way it was lost, through small habits repeated daily until they become the new normal. Musashi fought over 60 duels and never lost once. People have been trying to explain this for 400 years. His technique, his timing, his psychology, all of these played a part. But the simplest explanation is this. Musashi had spent his whole life learning not to need things, not comfort, not approval, not certainty, not even winning. He arrived at every fight with a quiet mind. While his opponents showed up full of excitement and nerves and wanting, Musashi arrived with nothing pulling at him from the inside. That is what dopamine control actually looks like. Not a person who feels nothing, but a person who's not being dragged around by their own wanting. A person who can feel the urge to do something, notice it, and then choose, rather than just react. That gap between feeling an urge and acting on it is available to everyone. You do not need to train in the mountains for years. You just need to practice it in small moments, every day. Wait 5 minutes before checking your phone. Eat one meal without a screen. Sit with boredom for 2 minutes instead of immediately reaching for your phone. The brain changes based on how you use it. A brain trained on constant stimulation will always crave more stimulation. A brain trained on patience, even in tiny amounts, slowly learns to find real satisfaction in real things. That is where it starts, not in one big dramatic change, in one small pause, today. If this was helpful, consider subscribing for more videos on focus, discipline, and growth. Thank you for watching.